Since the inception of this conference series, and particularly since 2013, when our second conference was held in Akihabara, Tokyo, under the auspices of the Prime Minister's then Office of National Space Policy and the Japanese Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Defense, PSSI has emphasized the importance of partnering with Japan on space security issues. Prime Minister Kishida has continued the efforts of his predecessors, Shinzo Abe and Yoshihide Suga, to strengthen Japan's defense capabilities in the face of the national security challenges emanating from the increasingly belligerent actions of North Korea, China, and Russia. Fortunately, this includes expanding its national space surveillance system, growing its military unit dedicated to space, and boosting the potential of its space industry. It is, therefore, with great pleasure that I welcome Mr. Yasuyuki Kasai, Director General at the National Space Policy Secretariat of the Prime Minister's Office, who has been an integral part of these important efforts. Mr. Kasai, thanks so much for taking the time to come to Prague and share with us your thoughts concerning Japan's space security priorities and aspirations for our US-Europe-Japan alliance. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jana, for the introduction. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you all, distinguished delegates, about Japan's national security challenges and space. It is very crucial to speak on this topic in Europe. Democratic countries are fighting against authoritarian regimes to protect their territorial integrity and freedom in Europe. And it is the same in Asia. Japan, along with allied and partner countries, are facing authoritarians. In that sense, I believe we here in this room face similar security issues, and this is why this occasion is crucial. Before getting into the main topic, let me explain briefly about our organization, the National Space Policy Secretariat. This slide shows the decision-making structure of space policy in Japan. Of course, the policy planning process is not simple, but this slide gives you an overall picture. First of all, top of the slide shows the strategic headquarters for space policy, which is a council chaired by the Prime Minister to make decisions of space policy. We, the NSPS, National Space Policy Secretariat, is the secretariat for this headquarters and in charge of policy making by coordinating with SPC, Space Policy Committee, the advisory body composed of intellectuals and experts from private sector. And the other relevant ministries and agencies participate to SPC and discuss various policy issues. The NSPS reports to headquarters with space policy proposals based on the discussions at the SPC. The ministries and agencies then implement the space policy decided by the headquarters. The chairman of Space Policy Committee was Mr. Kasai, honorary chairman of Japan Railway Central. Presumably, some of or many of you here know him. He passed away last month. He led Japan's space policy for more than 10 years. We miss him very much. I would like to take his legacy to my heart and continue to promote Japan's space policy. Next, getting back to the main topic today, Next is Japan's national security challenges. As I mentioned at the beginning, the security environment in Europe and Asia is similar in several aspects. First, the democracies in both regions are facing authoritarians. Second, the authoritarian countries and countries are seeking to change existing international rules through military force. The third is the historical and geopolitical importance of Ukraine for Russia and the Taiwan Strait for China. One of the security challenges facing Japan is China's unclear and unlawful maritime expansion. China continues unilateral attempts to change the status quo in East China Sea. And as shown in the top right of the slide, China persists unlawful maritime claims, militarization of reclaimed features, and coercive activities in South China Sea. In addition, Chinese naval fleet, including Korea, is strengthening its presence in the Western Pacific. Japan's security challenges are not only in maritime domain. Japan also faces maritime domain threats imposed by mainly China, such as hypersonic weapons, sophisticated IADs, fifth-gen fighters, DASR, co-ASR technology, and cyber attacks. Therefore, Japan must respond to these challenges on Earth and in space. Not all of these challenges cannot be solved from space. However, satellite data will be extremely important to solving the security challenges that Japan faces, just as satellite data support from Western countries was extremely effective for Ukraine. In addition, Japan's location in Far East makes the use of a space system essential for cooperation with geographically distant allies and partners. From this perspective, it is also important to ensure the security of space. Security from space. First of all, Japan must promote the use of satellites in order to solve security issues on the Earth. To be more precise, the use of satellite data is important. And in order to respond to the dynamics threat mentioned earlier, the promptness of data use needs to be enhanced. Secondly, Japan must utilize the service provided by private sector, especially in the dual-use capability. In particular, the acquisition of satellite data from the private sector in the area of remote sensing and communications, which can provide dual-use capabilities, is really important. This is also important from the perspective of agile capability acquisition and the utilization of innovative technologies. Thirdly, in order to ensure the resilience of the space system, not only technical aspects, including cybersecurity, but also institutional effort, such as information security and policy efforts such as hosted payload project with allied and partner countries are essential. Security in space. The Ministry of Defense is currently building SSA capabilities. In March of this year, the Space Operations Squadron was expanded to the Space Operation Group, and the SSA operation system began experimental operation in April. In 2023, we will achieve initial operational capability, and when Deep Space Radar starts operations in the same year, we will establish full operational capacity. The SSA satellite is scheduled to be launched by 2026. On the other hand, given the current situation in which threat in space are becoming more apparent, it is necessary to further develop capabilities from SSA to SDA and clarify the capabilities and the intention of a threat. Second, Japan is also promoting interagency effort for SSA. And it is not only the Ministry of Defense that conducts SSA. JAXA is currently building an SSA operation system, which will be linked to the Ministry of Defense SSA operation system by 2023. Lastly, and most importantly, international cooperation on SSA, SDA. We need to build global SSA, SDA system, not only with our allies, but also with our partner countries. In addition, verifying the implementation of responsible behavior through cooperation with like-minded countries is foundation for unifying effort and ensuring the stable use of outer space. This year is an important year for Japan's space security efforts. As we move into concrete operational phase, Japan will fulfill its responsibility to ensure the stable utilization of outer space by working together with like-minded countries. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer that. Please forgive me to use an interpreter to understand and answer questions accurately. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Kasai. And so thanks for taking some questions from the audience. So if anyone has a question, please, now is the time.
Yes, David Matuszek from the Ministry of Industry and Trade. I have a question regarding Ukraine. How do you assess the war in Ukraine in terms of space security?
It was a little bit hard to hear. Can you point yourself where?
Oh, there, here. How do you assess the war in Ukraine in terms of space security?
ありがとうございます。ウクライナ情勢の中で、我々として認識したこと、大きく2つあると思っています。一つが、商業宇宙の重要性であります。この商業宇宙の重要性、その利用を日本として、しっかりと進めていきたいというふうに思っています。
Thank you for the question. So what we realized from the war of Ukraine, we have two important points. The first one is importance of the commercial use of the space. But for realizing this importance, that we are also considering expand into this direction.
ごめんなさい。もう一度お願いします。すみません。二つ目が、サテライトデータの利用、そのスピードを上げていくということが非常に重要だというふうに認識しました。そのスピードを上げていくために、例えば衛星間の光通信、データ、レーザーコミュニケーション、こういったことの技術開発をしっかりと進めていきたいというふうに今思っているところです。
And the second important thing we realized is that use of satellite data and also increasing the speed of the satellite data communication. In order to do so, that we are going to use laser communication or light communication between satellites.
Thank you. We have time for one or two more questions.
Thank you. If I may, my question would be, the economic and financial threats often stem from a broader geopolitical calculations. And accordingly, what whole of government approach should be used, if any, to respond to Chinese, or Russian for that matter, efforts to, for example, capture the space sector of other nations through loop-sided partnerships? Thank you.
ありがとうございます。ロシア、それから中国との競争、こちらは価値観をめぐる競争だというふうに思っています。ルールベースでの価値観、これをしっかりとそのためのフレームワークを作り上げて、それを広めていく、こういったことが重要だと思っています。
So thank you for the question. So we consider that the threat of Russian and Chinese is in regard of the values. So we consider that it's very important to create and spread a framework which is rule-based values.
その実現のために、まずは自由で開かれたインド太平洋、この実現に向けて、取り組んでいるところです。
So, in order to do so, that we consider it's important to realize a free and open Indo-Pacific area.
そのための取り組み、いろいろなことをやっているところでありますけれど、例えば、いわゆるクワッドの取り組み、こうしたことに、全力を挙げているところです。日本、アメリカ、オーストラリア、それからインド、このクワッドの取り組み、これを進めています。具体的には、まずデータの活用、これを地球環境、インド太平洋地域で非常に地球環境の問題で苦しんでいる諸国、それに対して、その解決策としてデータを提供する、利用する、こうしたことを支援していきたいというふうに思っています。
So for this, in order to realize it, that we consider it's important to tackle with the Quad countries, which means Japan, America, Australia, and India. And India is struggling about these space technologies. So we are considering sharing these satellite data, information, and cooperate with them.
太平洋地域のいろいろな国々が地球環境問題に苦しんでいるので、それに対してためにデータ利用とかを
It's not only in India, but these countries around Pacific Ocean, they are struggling with environmental issues, and so that we are trying to support them by sharing those information.
またルール、これを作る上でも我々4カ国でルールベースの取り組みを進めていく。また、それをインド太平洋諸国に広げていく。そのためのワークショップ、こういったものを開催していって、我々のパートナーを広げていきたいというふうに思っています。
So other activity is making workshop, rule-based workshop, in order to expand the capacity or build capacity in India-Pacific Ocean area.
そして最後にキャパシティビルディング、インド太平洋の国々の宇宙を使う能力、その構築を手伝っていくと。こういったことで、我々のライクマインディッドな国々の仲間を増やしていくと。 こういったことに取り組んでいきたいと思っています。
And another thing is that we would like to have another workshop, so how to use the satellite data, and so that
ですね。アジア、インド太平洋諸国の国々が、データを、インド宇宙を使える能力を上げていくことによって、我々のライクマインディッドな国々の仲間を増やしていきたいと思っています。
So by helping the countries around India Pacific Ocean to expand their ability to use the space and so that we can cooperate better.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kasai, and also thank you for agreeing to take some questions, even if there are interpreters. So we all appreciate it, and I think this is a good transition to the next panel. So thank you very much again.